Okay, in this video we're going to be looking at the causes or the different types of unemployment. So we did a few activities regarding these different types of unemployment in class, and we're going to look at things like cyclical and frictional and structural, seasonal and hardcore unemployment. So cyclical unemployment is caused by a lack of aggregate demand in the economy. So it basically occurs when consumers and businesses are not spending enough. So there's a slowdown in spending, and therefore because consumers aren't demanding as many goods and services, and businesses don't produce as much, and therefore because they're not producing as much, they don't need as much labour. So it's a flow-on effect from a decrease in aggregate demand, which you learned about in the previous video. So a decrease in aggregate demand throughout the economy, leading to decreased production because you don't need to produce as much if there's not as much demand, and therefore decreased demand for workers or decreased demand for labour. If the spending declines for a long period of time, it can lead to negative growth rates, so where we produce less than we did in the previous period. So a recession is when we have 2 consecutive quarters or 6 months of negative economic growth. So that can cause high levels of cyclical unemployment because when we produce less, we generally need less workers because we're not producing as many goods and services. So cyclical unemployment can be caused by a range of factors that hurt aggregate demand. So it can be caused by higher interest rates. When interest rates are higher, people don't want to spend as much because they don't want to borrow because it's more costly. They're more likely to save because they're going to get a better return on savings. Weak consumer confidence means people don't spend as much. When the dollar appreciates, so when the Australian dollar gets higher, it's more expensive for overseas countries to purchase our exports, so that can lead to more unemployment as well. So it can also be caused by slow overseas growth because they demand less of our products when they grow slower. So it's caused by a lack of aggregate demand. Structural unemployment is caused by a mismatch of people's skills and the jobs available. So it can occur because of structural changes. So business might change the way they go about producing goods and services, or they might try and cut costs. So the key definition with structural unemployment is it occurs because of a mismatch of skills between the unemployed and the jobs available in the workforce. So you might become structurally unemployed because you get replaced by technology. So there's a high level of structural unemployment at the moment because of the automation of the workforce. So people that used to be employed are now getting replaced by capital or machinery or robots, and that's leading to more structural unemployment. It can be because of a mismatch of skills, so the jobs that are in demand aren't the skills that people have. New technology means traditional skills are no longer wanted, so you might be unemployed because you lack the right skills to gain employment. Your particular business might close down because of high production costs, so therefore you might move overseas, so your job might be outsourced to another country. So for example, like in telecommunications, a lot of jobs get outsourced overseas, or the whole business might move offshore as well. Or it might be because of things like tariff cuts. So tariffs make imports cheaper. When we have tariff cuts, it makes imports cheaper, and that can lead to less demand for Australian goods and services. Frictional unemployment occurs when people are between one job and starting another. So unlike structural unemployment, frictional unemployment is when people voluntarily leave their job. So they might voluntarily, might decide that they've had enough of teaching or being a lawyer, and they might switch and move into another career. So, but before they get a job in that new career, they would be frictionally unemployed. It also includes new entrants to the workforce. So if you've just left school and you're looking for a job, or if you're returning after having children, you've just re-entered the workforce, you would also be frictionally unemployed. So frictionally is voluntary people leaving the workforce or being between jobs or re-entering the workforce. Seasonal unemployment is termination of jobs at certain times of the year. So you might be unemployed in summer because you're a ski instructor. You might be unemployed in winter because you're a fruit picker and there's less demand for fruit pickers. Or tourist operators might struggle to find employment at certain times of the year. So if it's caused by the season, you would be seasonally unemployed. And the last one is hardcore unemployment. These are people that have certain personality traits. They may have a previous criminal record or a disability, an irritating personality. So characteristics specific to them that make it hard to get employment. It also includes those that pretend to look for work so they can receive welfare, even though they don't really have any intention of actually finding work. Thank you.